Yes, guys, it's happening. One of my biggest dreams came true. I've traveled to Tokyo, Japan for training with my two friends, Niels and Nino. We're teammates and have been training for several years together. We've spent 3 weeks in total in Japan and I've filmed some stuff from training and traveling that I want to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, subscribe, leave a like, and let's get straight into it. One of our first destination was Fish and Bird in Toyocho, a lovely boulder gym with a lot of physical but quality boulders. As you can see, the walls are full with climbing holds, but each boulder is worth to try. First boulder I got my eyes on was this big wide volume boulder. Main crux was to find every body positioning to get to the next hold. I find these kind of boulders quite time consuming, because if you don't find your beta, you're there forever. After a couple of tries, I did the boulder, but finding the second last hold was still hard, because your vision was blocked by the volume, and also the last move was quite sketchy, because I was standing on a dual text hold where I could have slipped any time. Next boulder was a fun coordination move with a technical and tricky top. First try I felt pretty nasty, but I was totally fine. It happens a lot in training. Next try was super close, but unfortunately I stood on the wrong hold, so I had to do it again. One thing I really like to do is talking about betas with different people. I can learn much from it, and also it helps me to understand the movement better. So finally, we got to the final boss boulder of this gym. Well, mainly for me, because it was such an anti-juju boulder. But this one had it all. Long, powerful boulder with funky moves. I sometimes lost my orientation in this boulder. It's sometimes hard to know where you are. I literally tried this single boulder for over an hour, which is pretty rare for me. And on my best try, I fell at the top. I was too pumped. How? I'm a boulderer, I shouldn't get pumped in a boulder.
Oh man.
And after that, my best I could do was falling like a buck. But luckily, we got Nino, who did all the moves. Apparently, he didn't get pumped because he's a lead climber. Also, we've climbed with some strong Chinese climbers who we saw again on the first World Cup in China. Really lovely people, I tell you that. In the end, Nino did send the boulder and all of us could go home with a smile. What a way to end the day. Well, except for Niels, who was still jet-lagged and couldn't do anything. But he will get his revenge.
Ali, come on. Ali.
Now we're coming to the climbing gym where we spend most of our time at. B-Pump Ogikubo. Arguably the hardest gym in the world, most people say. But we wanted to try out for ourselves. We've spent our first few days here to adapt to the Japanese climbing style and we got completely demolished by the boulders. For comparison, this is the grading at B-Pump. In the video, I'm trying a light blue tape, which is not even close to the hardest grade. Normally, I'm able to climb the hardest grade in new gyms, but that doesn't count for this one. The movements are very complex and there is no margin for small mistakes. But after a session or two, I got the hang of it and worked myself up to some harder stuff. I've discovered a new joy of projecting hard moves and eventually do the whole boulder. You have to know, I'm not a big project guy. I really like to do the boulder quickly and move on. We were training a lot with the Swedes. They were really fun and lovely guys, so shout out to them and hopefully we will see them again when we go back to Japan.
Nice. Ali. Jawohl.
First harder boulder at B-Pump was probably this yellow slab with slopers. The start was a coordination into a palm press, following with some techie pressing over the volumes. At the top you had like a sketchy part where you had to trust your feet, and you can hear Hannes in the background saying something in Swedish, which I don't understand, but he was commentating the whole round, so enjoy his commentating.
Fortsätt så. Kom igen. Hela vägen. Lite till. Kom igen. Ja, släpp fötterna bara. Så ja. Du kan det här. Ja. Hela vägen. Håll i kant. Så ja. Oj. Mycket bra. Wow. Snyggt. Jättebra.
Bra.
Thank you.
After we got used to the style, we ran our first simulation. We were there just before the Japan Cup, so the round was super tough. They said they tried to get the level of a semi-final. I've started the round with the slab, which was super tricky to get done in 5 minutes. The main problem was the mantle after the zone. I've even tried to do a beta break and taking a shortcut, but of course it was well set. You had so many possibilities to try, but I couldn't find the correct one in time. So for you to understand better which style is coming, route setters mostly set 5 different styles in a competition. We got slab, power, coordination, electric, which is a mixture of coordination and power, and athletic, which is more about weird body positioning and pressing. So this second boulder was a scary coordination boulder. My main focus was to get my first step close to the edge so I had a more direct jump. I've tried it a lot of times so my body and brain will get used to it. But it wasn't enough and I was too scared to hold on. So third boulder was probably the electric boulder. I've struggled a lot just moving from the start position. I was under a lot of tension and actually didn't know if it was possible. I even tried a juju version where I just go with the pure grip, but even that didn't work out. So just after me, my friend Yuta, who is a local, gave his flash attempt and this happened. It's where I've realized how strong these climbers really are. And it was so inspiring to watch. Like, come on, first try? This was really mind-blowing. Coming to the last boulder, I was feeling a bit frustrated. But I guess what else should I expect from a Japan Cup semi-final? First move was super far, and physically I've changed my beta to a double dyno, which might work out. Last one was definitely the power and athletic boulder. So I've ended the round with 0 tops and 1 zone. Yay! After the round, I've managed to get revenge on the slab, which gave me a great feeling. That slab was really hard and I'm thinking I'm pretty good on slabs. Then I've tried with the others the women's round with some fun moves and tricky tops. So this was my highlight. We've also gone to the other gyms like Underground, which had old school and fun boulders, the Stone Session Tokyo with the coolest ambiance, the Bouldering in Tachikawa with cool holds and lovely staff members. They've kept telling us how strong we are, while Kokoro Fuji, who is a world champ, was walking in front of us. Funny but cute at the same time. Then we had a fun session with Sota Amagasa and his friends at probably my favorite gym, Mabu. They had a great mix of moves and the owner was super kind. In the end, this whole trip was about making memories and getting stronger. I've personally learned so much about climbing and the Japanese way of climbing. We've gained a lot of new friends and I'm already planning to go back next year. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the voiceover. I thought I'd try something new and might keep doing it for the future. Leave a like and I'll see you next time.